WUSA 9 Weather Watch Alert is sponsored by Morgan & Morgan.
Good evening, I'm WUSA 9 Meteorologist Topper Shutt. We're going to go through step by step of the storm's evolution and what that means to you, how much snow you could see, how much rain we're all going to see. But, you know, we were with us late last night after the Super Bowl. We talked about some accumulating snow in parts of the DMV. The storm changed track a little bit. A little further southerly track, which is good for us if we want snow. And so here's our latest thinking as of 5 o'clock. Now at 11 o'clock, I am going to have another run in, and that's a more significant run than the intermediate runs. But right now, we think a slushy coating south of D.C., almost into northern Charles County. And by that, we mean that, you know, on grassy surfaces, maybe on your windshield, temperatures are never going to make it below freezing anywhere except west of the divide, and I'll show you that in a second. So we think 1 to 3 inches possible, maybe down to Rockville, more like a slushy inch, maybe 2, 3 inches in Leesburg and Gaithersburg. Then as you farther north and west you move, Hagerstown on the cusp, maybe 3, 4 inches. And what I did was, you know, Caitlin and I moved this band over a little bit at around 5 o'clock. So we're taking the 3 to 6 band, kind of traversing it right along the Maryland-PA border into southeastern PA and also into parts of New Jersey. I think it's going to be a pretty good thumping of snow there. They get the cold air quicker and the moisture leaves later. So this is what we're thinking. Again, 1 to 3 inches. This is all going to occur in a very short period of time. By the time it changes along I-81 around 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning by the time it's gone east of I-95, it's going to be about 10 o'clock in the morning. So it's not going to be a very prolonged event. We're going to see some heavy rain tonight, and 90% of what we see is going to be rain. That's the main headline, except the problem with this is it's occurring at the worst time, the morning commute. Now you look at this, and you're like, whoa, you know, GFS pretty aggressive again. 3 to 6 inches to Gaithersburg, hammer time up in northern New England. I mean, northern sections of Maryland into northern New England. And the Euro's like, no, not so much. Some areas, nothing, a trace, and maybe, you know, an inch or two off to the east. If you look at the maps, you're like, they don't really look alike. They don't, but there's one thing that kind of stands out to me. The bullseye here is kind of up 95 toward southern New Jersey and southeastern PA. And the bullseye, such as it is also up 95 into southern New Jersey and southeast PA. So they're still pretty far away. I got to give some credit to GFS, though. Remember, I think 10 days out, this was a perfect storm for us. And they were going like 6 to 9 inches, and then it backed off. Euro never really had it. Then the Euro became a little more aggressive last night. It's backed off a little bit. So that's the latest. Now we'll widen this out. And the GFS has this really hammering northern Jersey, Islip, Long Island, New York, Hartford, you know, place like Norwalk, Connecticut, and Greenwich, Connecticut, and back into Boston. I mean, that's a big-time snow. But the Euro is not nearly as aggressive. Even in northern New Jersey, it only has like 3 to 6 inches. And look at this, along the coast of Connecticut, only has 1 to 3 inches. And that's not necessarily an outlier. Canadian is pretty similar to this model, but the American model, short-term model, North American model, NAM, and the GFS, Global Forecasting System, they're pretty much bullish on this storm, and that's the one we're going to kind of go with. Yeah, we're going to tamper it down a little bit, but that's the one we're going to go with. Okay, so let's talk about rainfall, because again, that's going to be the bulk of this storm, and no shortage of moisture. The GFS just updated to under an inch, but essentially all the models, at least in lockstep agreement with, hey, this has a lot of moisture, an inch or more. And what's crazy is that all of that falls essentially within about a 6-hour period, maybe a 7-hour period. I mean, it's going to be a very quick moving storm in terms of, you know, how long it's going to produce rain and then that last little burst of snow. Okay. We talked about this earlier today, and we try to, you know, we got the red tie on, we got the banners, means it's a weather watch alert. It means, hey, stop, watch for a second, because it could impact you. It will impact you. So it has to satisfy one of these 3 criteria. Life-threatening weather, more of a nuisance, change your plans, dynamic situation, should check back with us frequently. I mean, in this case, it sort of satisfies all 3. I mean, some of the roads are going to be a little slippery, so that is sort of, it could be a life-threatening situation. So, and it's definitely a dynamic situation because the storm's going to recenter. Anytime it recenters, the models are only so accurate as where it recenters. So, this case, all 3 are satisfied. Now, let's talk about the threats. And this is through noon tomorrow. Wet snow, moderate. Coastal flood, probably just low. Heavy rain, moderate. Damaging winds will keep low, but they're on the table. I'll show you wind gusts in a minute. But, I mean, winds could gust 25 to 30. And if we have inch or two of heavy snow on trees, that's not a good thing at all. Okay. Where is the storm right now? Essentially through Middle Tennessee. And you look closely, it's sucking back some cold air. It's snowing right along the Mississippi River around Memphis and just north of Memphis. The heavy rain now pushing into portions of Kentucky and Tennessee. But watch a couple of things here. So this is the storm here. It's pushing the rain toward the Ohio River Valley. But also notice all this rain in the southeast, including, the Carolinas. So it kind of tells you there's going to be two storms here. This is going to kind of meander up into southern West Virginia, kind of die out, and then recenter either off the coast of the Delmarva or just south of us. And that's when we get our burst. It sucks back the cold air. Okay, we'll zoom in a little bit. If you're out and about now, there's a couple of sprinkles and light rain up 270 past Frederick and also into Prince George's County and parts of Anne Arundel County. It's all very light. Upper Marlboro, some light rain. Showers out toward Bowie. If you're going out 50, you're going to have wet roads, certainly, and a little sprinkle right around Springdale Gardens, just north of FedEx. But right now, that's not the main event. The main event has to work its way in here overnight. So here's Futurecast. This is our local model, which I think has been doing a pretty good job. So this is 10 p.m. tonight. Notice it's not covered in green. There's some pretty good rains going on west of town. Also notice, and I keep harping on this because the pattern is so weird, 46 Fredericksburg, 46 in D.C., 45 Hagerstown, 44 in Cumberland. It's unusually close grouping in temperatures in February. You'd think with a situation like this, it would be a 10-degree range. No. Now, 2:30 in the morning. I'm going to stop it here because this might wake you up. I don't know. Pretty darn heavy rain across the metro. When you see yellow and orange in wintertime, that's heavy rain. And quite frankly, it looks more kind of like a radar from, early April. Temps low 40s. By 6 a.m., here comes the line. The blue is snow. So it's beginning to change now in upper Montgomery County, most of Frederick County, and either side of I-81. But again, notice the surface temperatures are above freezing. So when we write a forecast, we first look at the temperatures above us. Okay, what's going to fall? Is it going to be rain? Is it going to be snow, sleet? Is it going to be rain changing to snow? In this case, yes. Then we look at the surface temperatures and go, okay, well, if it snows, can it accumulate? It has an uphill battle accumulating. But that said, with temps in the mid-30s, and you see that little darker shade of blue, that's a pretty good thump on the snow. So we're going to see a pretty good 1 to 2 to maybe 2.5 hour thumping of snow in the metro. This is 8 o'clock, snow all the way down into northern Charles County. But nowhere is it below freezing yet. By 10:30, see ya, gone across the bay. Could even end in snow in our beach resorts. And look at the temps now, upper 30s, low 40s, so no worries about freezing. Now the winds are northwest, see the arrows? So that's just going to be kind of a blustery day. Quite frankly, it's more like March than February. March kind of, famous for like snow in the morning and then sun in the afternoon. Well, that's kind of what this is going to be. By 6 p.m., we are still in the low 40s, no worries about freezing. Even by 9 o'clock, we are still in the upper 30s. But I do think there will be some slick spots Wednesday morning because the burbs are going to make it into the upper 20s. What we have going for us is the winds. It's going to evaporate a lot of the moisture. So let's do the timeline again. So Tuesday, midnight to 6 a.m., rain heavy at times, beginning to turn to snow west of I-81, winds starting to gust now to 25 miles per hour. 6 a.m. to noon, the worst time for the metro. Rain changes to snow, but remember, it's going to end 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. But some of the roads are going to be slick with slushy accumulation, and then, of course, reduced visibility. When it starts snowing pretty hard, you're not going to be able to see very far, so keep that in mind if you're trying to drive somewhere. If you don't have to drive anywhere in the morning, probably a good idea not to. And then noon to 6, hey, we got sunshine now, back to partly cloudy, windy and chilly, winds gusting over 25. But, as I mentioned, temperatures above 32, and in fact, well above 32. Let me show you some different model outputs of DC snowfall. So this is this is DC, And of course, look at that. NAM is the most aggressive, 2.6. Trouble with these models is that when they do the algorithm, they write it so that it falls as snow. The atmosphere supports snow, doesn't take into account surface temperatures. So yeah, if every flake fell and stuck, we might get 2 inches downtown. Don't think it's going to happen. Meanwhile, GFS, European, well, the GFS, the Canadian and European are like 0 to less than an inch. I think it's going to be barely measurable downtown. Now, this is sort of interesting. Frederick, Maryland was under a winter storm watch at one point. It's been now downgraded to a winter weather advisory. NAM says 5 inches. GFS says 5 inches. GEM, European, nope, under an inch. So that's kind of, kind of crazy. I mean, the NAM and GFS are calling for 10 times the amount of snow the Canadian model is. So the models are not all in agreement here. Leesburg, same thing. NAM almost 6, GFS almost 4, European 7/10, Canadian 0. So they're not all in agreement. All right, talk about winds. 4 o'clock in the morning, winds could gust to 36. These are gusts snapshot in time, and the winds, notice, are easterly now. 36 mile per hour wind gusts. 6 o'clock, winds gusting up to 30 again. Now they're becoming more northeast as the storm begins to move to our south and recenter. By 8 o'clock, winds now more northerly, and we're looking at winds now maybe gusting to 34 at Frederick, near 30 downtown. So if we have a little coating of snow on the trees, this is not good. This could cause some problems. And check this out. I mean, the winds, Delmarva, pretty impressive. Ocean City, 46 mile per hour wind gusts, 50 mile per hour winds just offshore. It's going to be a pretty intense storm. Probably the strongest storm pressure-wise we've seen this winter. Don't quote me on that, but I think it is. 10:15 tomorrow morning, winds are still gusting to 30 in Leesburg, 31 in Culpeper. By noon, winds are still gusting 25 to 30. Some good news. By evening, they seem to shut off, except west of the Divide, where they're cranking up to 40 miles per hour. So winds are going to be a factor, too, tomorrow. All right, let's review. A weather watch alert till noon on Tuesday. Early snow and windy, 49. Breezy on Valentine's Day, but dry, 47. And then near 50 on Thursday, a late shower possible, especially west and north of town. Friday, clouds come back into another little clipper passes to our north. We could see a rain or snow shower late Friday night. I think it'll snow in the mountains. Hey, this is good news for the ski resorts. They've had a tough winter. Windy and blustery on Saturday, returning partly cloudy. Breezy on Sunday, upper 40s, and then pleasant on Monday, back near 50. By next Monday, the high temperature, the average high will be near 50 degrees. So, hope to see you tonight at 11. We'll have new model data in. We'll tweak the snowfall map. And we'll also talk about if we're going to see refreezing tomorrow night as temps fall into the 20s in the burbs. In the meantime, have a good evening. I'm meteorologist Topper Shutt.